I don't understand is what further data points came from the OBR after the 31st of October, because as far as I can see, there wasn't any meaningful data.
As you'll know from your time at the Treasury, pre-measures is not the final word from the Office of Budget Responsibility. Major Measures 1 and indeed Major Measures 2. So I think it is not right to say, and I think you'll know this from your time at the Treasury, that the 4...
I was never Chancellor.
Longest serving Economic Secretary.
Yeah, good day and welcome back to the British Report Channel. The crisis gripping the Labour government has now moved beyond the hushed corridors of Westminster and exploded onto the streets, with thousands of angry protesters taking to major cities to vent their fury and to completely obliterate Chancellor Rachel Reeves after the disastrous concrete confirmation that the British economy is officially shrinking. The Office for National Statistics, ONS, has just dropped a political atomic bomb confirming that the UK economy contracted by 0.1% in October, marking the second consecutive monthly decline and the fourth straight month without any growth whatsoever. This stunning reversal has defied all expectations of a slight rebound and has exposed Reeves's promise of sustainable growth as a hollow sham, triggering a wave of public rage that directly targets her tax-hiking, stagnation-inducing policies. The sight of thousands of citizens already reeling from the cost of living crisis, taking to the streets with placards demanding her resignation, is the ultimate humiliation for the Chancellor and the final nail in the coffin of her credibility. The newly released ONS figures are a document of economic failure, providing the empirical fuel for the public's explosive anger. The two consecutive monthly contractions, a TITEX 0.1% and FIDE's drop in September, followed by an unexpected AITEX 0.1% fall in October, have left the UK economy on a knife edge, with analysts now warning that the prospect of a technical recession by the end of the year is a grim possibility. The contraction was driven by a sharp text 2.5% decline in the crucial services sector, the powerhouse of the British economy, which was largely caused by a slump in retail spending and wholesale trade. Construction also fell by fine text, shadowed by 6% more. Even the slight recovery in the production sector, which grew by Haycore text, just 1.1% was not enough to offset the overall gloom, as it followed a catastrophic plunge in the previous month due to the cyber attack on Jaguar Land Rover, a disruption from which the manufacturing industry is still struggling to recover. On a rolling 3-month basis up to October, gross domestic product, GDP, was also down by text 0.1%. A decline the ONS Director of Economic Statistics, Liz McKeown, confirmed reflects the continued slowdown in both production and a stalling of growth in the services sector. The most damning aspect of the ONS report and the primary cause of the public's furious reaction is the direct link between this stagnation and the Chancellor's own political instability. Economic experts and the ONS itself reported that businesses and households across all sectors, services, manufacturing and construction, were actively waiting for the outcomes of the budget, holding back on spending and investment due to intense speculation and anxiety over Rachel Reeves's second tax-hiking budget, which was presented in November. This uncertainty, created by the Chancellor's secretive approach and her vacillation over which tax pledges she would break, had a numbing effect on the economy, causing people to delay key decisions. In essence, done at the government's own political prevarication and the fear of its forthcoming fiscal measures actively braked the economy, proving that Reeves's instability is now an economic contagion. The immediate reaction in the city was a loss of confidence, with the pound slipping text 0.11% to the dollar, dropping to $538 as financial markets began to price in the overwhelming certainty of an imminent interest rate cut by the Bank of England to stimulate the sluggish outlook. The protests that have erupted are a visceral rejection of the Chancellor's entire approach, which has prioritised achieving arbitrary fiscal rules over delivering genuine economic growth. Protesters, including those from groups like Positive Money and Tax Justice UK, have been particularly vocal, accusing Reeves of having broad shoulders, but choosing to place the heavy burden of her policies on ordinary working people while refusing to tax banks and the super rich who are enjoying record profits. This sense of unfairness is compounded by the fact that the Chancellor has repeatedly raised taxes to record levels as a share of GDP, extending freezes on personal tax thresholds and raising corporate taxes, all to build a political headroom that has resulted in economic contraction, not expansion. The narrative among the protesters is clear. The Labour government is now actively making things worse, instead of using the budget to announce a compelling blueprint for transformational growth. Critics have charged that Reeves' strategy is simply a piecemeal approach that locks in a high tax, high debt steady state in a world of low productivity growth. The anger is now targeting the Chancellor's political promises, highlighting the devastating fact that the OBR has significantly lowered its forecast for long-term productivity growth, a key driver of sustainable economic expansion, suggesting that the UK's productivity problems are deepening under her watch. The Treasury's bland statement that the government is determined to defy the forecasts on growth and create good jobs rings completely hollow against the reality of the ONS figures and the furious chants of thousands of protesters taking to the streets who feel that their living standards are being deliberately crushed by a Chancellor whose policies have failed to arrest the slowdown that has seen overall annual growth slow from boach-index of 3.7% in the first quarter to a mere mild-text 0.3% in the second. The public's obliteration of Rachel Reeves is a powerful televised verdict. The economic strategy is not working, and the Chancellor must take responsibility for the crash.